I'm Bob, and I like coffee. I also like to tell stories. Here at the Bobcast, it's time for a coffee break. So, take a coffee break with me and pour yourself a cup of your favorite Joe. By the time you're done with your coffee, you will know something about me you really didn't need to know. But you will have fun learning it. Just remember, my stories are true. For the most part. Alright, well, today we're enjoying coffee still out of my optimistically Eeyore mug. 3 in a row. It's a charm. Hang on. And we are doing our first ever dual recording. So, episode 11. Let's give this a try. Speaking of funerals. Alright, I did not know my wife's grandfather very well at all. But what I did know was his humor was dark, sharp, and when I was in the room, focused on me. Now, I first met Granddaddy Beard when Linda and I first started dating. Now, I didn't know her family very well at all. But I did know Linda's family was big. Much bigger than mine. And I was going to have to work really hard to keep them all straight. Now, and I'm still working today. I keep asking for a playbill to have all the characters, their names, and who's portraying what part so I can keep it straight, but I haven't gotten it yet. So here we are. The first time I met Granddaddy Beard, he was in the hospital. And Linda wanted to stop in and see him. Well, we walked in, and I stood there and politely to the side, and so Linda could see her grandfather, and she introduced me. And I might have received a sideways glance. Now, no offense was taken. I mean, the man was in the hospital. But a week later, he's about to get out of the hospital. So, Linda wants to go see him again, so we stop in. And this time, I walk in. And, Linda goes up and starts doing the granddaughter thing. And he looks at me. And Linda says, "You remember Bob?" And he says, looking me square in the eye, "You still here?" Okay. Truth was, I was taken back. A bit. First, this is the first full conversation I've had with this man. And it's sharp. I survived. Now, there were Christmases and Thanksgivings to come, and some family parties, which are big as Christmas in this family. I mean, they're huge. But I can't say I ever had a very long conversation with the man. And that was okay. You really didn't need to. All you had to do was sit within earshot of him, and you would hear the one-liners and the side comments, and you started to understand just how funny he was. Then he died. As I like to say, well, we all will. Well, of course, he died. Now, I just hope that no matter how much family plans my funeral, that enough goes wrong to bring my funeral into the same class as Granddaddy Beard's funeral. When Granddaddy Beard died, it was not a big surprise to everybody, but it was still a shock. And as with anything that happens in my wife's family, it was a big funeral. I talk about how big my grandfather's funeral was. It was big. Not like Granddaddy Beard's. Back in Southern California, there's a whole chain of these very large funeral and cemetery plots. I mean, they're just a huge organization. And Rose Hills Cemetery is part of it. And it is enormous. And it's beautiful. Now, the service was in one of their medium-sized halls, which was definitely not big enough. But we squeezed all the fans, yeah, he had fans, the family, the friends, church members, everybody, anybody and everybody was there. It was packed. Now, I don't remember this nice lady's name from Rose Hills. She was there to help the family through this day, but my heart still goes out to her. Though Granddaddy Beard might be dead, she was the one having the bad day. This nice woman gets up and greets the crowd and passes on the sympathy from the Rose Hills family to our family. And she also was very pleased to see so many of the friends and family of Jack who showed up. And it was a testament to the type of person Jack was. And at this point, someone else, I don't have any idea who it was, this little old lady's voice from the middle of this crowd of people shouts out, "His name is Bob." There is no recovery from this. And this poor lady is standing there with basically the blood running out of her face, staring at this crowd who's all now giggling and laughing because she knows she's not going to live this one down. At that point, everybody could not avoid calling Granddaddy Beard Jack. Each time this poor lady got up, she is so rattled, now she's stuck in the Jack phase. So she keeps having to correct herself and say, "No, wait, Bob." It's hilarious. And I still do feel very, well, I'm laughing. I still feel very bad about it for her, but oh, it's great. So we have the funeral, we have the service, and we're going to have a graveside. And now, Rose Hills, like I said, is huge. And to get from the chapel area to the graveside is a processional in itself. So the hearse comes in, Granddaddy Jack gets put in the hearse, and we all get in our cars and we make this long progressional over to the graveside. And it's a beautiful spot. So Rose Hills overlooks the freeway, but it goes up. And it is this huge hill. And green and beautiful and well manicured. Great sloping hill. And when we get there, the hearse pulls up. We're all parking and everybody's coming down. They've got this like little tent canopy set up, and the grave is there waiting for the casket to come in. There's chairs set up. I mean, they did a really nice job. So the lady comes, pulls up on the hearse, jumps out, and she starts gathering all the mid-teens, older teens, grandkids and great-nephews and stuff to be the pallbearers. Because we are on a pretty steep hill, and we want to really make sure we do this right. So she gets them all organized, and quite quickly too. Gets them organized behind the hearse, turns around, grabs the door handle, and it's locked. So she runs over to the driver's side, opens up the driver's side door to unlock the back, except the driver door is locked. And you can watch her lean over and look into the hearse, and there's the keys. Okay, so it's a nice hearse. It's got a keypad on the outside, so all she has to do is punch in her code, and the door is locked. She punches in her code again, the door is locked. She tries several times, both the passenger and the driver door. She can't get the door. The hearse is locked, and Jack is stuck inside the hearse. It's a beautiful summer day, there in Southern California, and it's kind of warm outside, and I'm standing with the outlaws. So I look over at one of my brother-in-laws and I go, man, it's almost 90 degrees out here. Inside a locked vehicle, it could get well over 100. And Jack's inside, and that could possibly try to kick. Oh, well, never mind. Yeah, that joke didn't go over well with the family, but the outlaws thought it was pretty funny. I've not been known for the best taste in jokes, by the way. So, our nice lady from Rose Hills gets on her radio and calls, and someone answers, and they're going to bring the spare key over. But it's going to be a while because it's a very busy day. So everybody is now making jokes about Jack in the Box, and we are waiting for the keys to show up, and I hear a very familiar sound. Something like a tss, and it gets a little louder. And I've heard this many times before. I look back at that brother-in-law. I go, hear that? Wait for it. And on cue, the sprinkler system fires up. Now, I know it only was on for a minute or two. Somebody, possibly our young lady from Rose Hills, ran and killed the sprinklers, but the damage was done. So all the grass around the funeral area, the graveside area, is now wet. About that time, someone shows up in a golf cart, opens up the hearse. The teenagers grab the casket. They get themselves set, and I look back at my brother-in-law, why they ever let us stand anywhere close to each other. And I start taking side bets, because now we've got teenagers who have never carried a casket before, going down a steep hill of wet grass. And I just want to know how long it's going to be before they slip and that casket goes sliding down the hill toward the freeway, possibly with one of them on top of the casket, riding it down to the freeway, sort of like Slim Pickens in the movie Dr. Strangelove. Now, I'm old and I totally know what that means, and if you don't know what that means, Google it. It's a beautiful scene. All right. So we had some smirks, we had some laughs. The boys did make it down the hill with a few slips, but they hung in there. And we actually finished off the funeral for Bob. So, Granddaddy Beard has possibly the best funeral I have ever been to in my life. And for a man that had slightly the darkest sense of humor I have ever met, it was totally most excellent. I want to thank Bob, and when I see him again in heaven, I will shake his hand. Until next time, finish up your coffee, get back to work.